Hello, this is Katie. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time. We're going to be working with this Peachy Cheap kit, and I just wanted to show you all the pieces that come in it before we make the cards. I've noticed a couple things that were probably incorrect, like the fact that on the back of these, the images are all the same, but clearly there are different images in each. So I feel like that's how she ended up with them for cheaper. There's one other kind of misprint type thing that I'll show you. But otherwise, there's really nothing wrong with it. So that is the puffy sticker sheet. And then we have some thickers, and there's some gold with black lines in them, and then some shiny black thickers that we'll be using as well. And then I'm going to show you through the whole paper pad. It has all of these patterns. So the first one, see how the little tab, the perforated tab is supposed to be at the top. It's actually at the bottom, and there's a perforation there where, like on the second page, there's supposed to be, it's supposed to be at the top. That's where the hole is, and then you get your whole page, and the perforation's at the top. So it's only on that first page, but I feel like now I'm understanding how Peachy Cheap ends up with items. If they're misprinted, they can't be sold, whatever. So, yeah. So we're looking through all of the papers. I really, really like these papers. This is the Pebbles by American Crafts, I believe. Spooky with 3 O's set. There's a bat background. Really liking all of the foiled papers. They're really pretty. And then it repeats. So you have 2 of each one, and these are obviously bigger. They might be like 6 by 8 inches. So this is everything that I have left over after making the cards. There's plenty in the kit. And I have pre-laid out these cards. So what you're going to want for this one is a piece of, or a panel of the cardstock, that shiny black and gold one, that is a little bit shorter on the top and bottom. So maybe like a 1/4 inch shorter on the top and bottom, so we can have that white border from our card base peeking out. And then we have the cute little bat die cut that we're going to glue down, and also the flag banner die cut that says "Something Wicked This Way Comes." And I'm just going to tap off. I grabbed a couple Post-its, so when I get too much glue on these, because it can squeeze out these kind of shiny die cuts that are thick, not too thick, but like cardstock thick, it can squeeze out very easily if you put too much glue. So I dab it off on a Post-it note whenever I squeeze out too much glue. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here better. The house puffy sticker I thought was really cute, and then I'm going to put the puffy sticker raven, let's call him a raven, on top of the house, his little feet in between the tip, and then the cat and that pumpkin. And then that will be our first card. We're making 12 cards, by the way. This is a video every day in October. This is day 17. And I am incorporating black cardstock, orange cardstock, which usually people have. For this card only, I am incorporating some black glitter cardstock that I had because I wanted it to poke out from the back. So I am, and I honestly didn't have to use that whole piece. I really only needed 2 strips on the sides, but that's fine. So the black glitter cardstock is the only other piece that doesn't come with the kit. And here I'm going to grab my bone folder to flatten out a little bit the paper where it had bent. My adhesive in my gun is too strong, and so I've been bending my cardstock because the cardstock isn't too heavy, but I'm having to hold down the corners and be careful. I happen to bend that one, but your bone folder can help press out creases like that. So for this one, we are using the orange pattern paper you see that has the dots, and then the spell book in the middle that I lifted up on foam tape. And some of these gold letters, I'm going to be spelling a couple words out. What I found though, it's just got squishy black foam. So it's like black foam tape on the back side of the letters. What I found is that they don't stick down too much, like you can lift them up again. But also if you just set them down lightly, they won't stick down too hard. So you're able to kind of move them around before you decide where you want them. And before they will stick a little bit better if you press down on them. So I'm just trying to kind of space out the letters and make sure they're in the right spot before I press them down. So if you do recreate this card or you use these gold sticker letters for anything, just set them down lightly, get the letters out that you need, set them down lightly, which is what I'm doing with the second word. And then arrange where they need to be, and then you can press them down. And that will help a lot. So I decided to spell out witchy woman to go with our spell book, and just kind of getting the W on the left and the N on the right as far out as I want them to be. And then everything in the middle we can press down. So that is our next card. And then for this one, I knew I wanted to use this white trick-or-treat bag, ephemera die cut, but I wasn't sure how, and it took me a few card ideas to figure out what I wanted to do with it. And I ended up with this owl, so it's his trick-or-treat bag. I didn't want to use it and then end up having like more words on the card. I wanted the trick or treat on the bag to be the only sentiment, if that makes sense. I didn't want to be too busy. So it's going to be him carrying around his trick or treat bag. And I did forget to stick the pattern paper down to the card base first. So we will do that. And then his treat is going to be one of these little worm stickers. So that'll be in his mouth. And then we're just going to put some candy puffy stickers around his bag. So it happened to work out perfectly for the worm to be the owl's treat. I don't even know if owls eat worms. They might. Here we're going to be using one of the black shiny stickers, the Mwahahaha, and then the kind of floral background with the gold foiling in it. I really love all the foiling in these papers, and I have plenty of paper left to make many more cards or embellishments or whatever I want to make. And then I am just sticking down a piece of, I think it's the orange, yeah, it's the one with the orange dots. So probably 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little more. I don't know if I measured that one. Less. I just know that it needed to fit the sticker sentiment, which is one piece. Some of them come in a few pieces. And then these two little guys on their brooms. One is a candy corn and one is a cat, but that's okay. And then just dab off a little bit of that glue so I don't squeeze too much out. And then we have that card. And then for this one, I have a little trick with a circle punch. If you have one, I happen to have like a smaller circle punch, smaller than 1 inch. So I'm just going to use black cardstock and put that down to the card base. And then the die cut of Happy Haunting, I'm going to stick that down to, I just kind of eyeballed for this the striped pattern paper with foiling, just a bigger square, and then I'm going to use this 3/4 inch punch. It takes me a few tries to get the edge where I want it. You can use a circle punch to match that kind of opposite of a corner, the inverted circle corners, to match the die cut how it came, if that makes sense. Some of you have probably done this before. It's similar to using a square punch to create the banner end for like a sentiment banner flag thing. But here we're using the circle punch to do the curved out edges. So I'm going to lift that up on foam tape and put that kind of like higher center. And then our little sticker guys are going to be down below. So this pumpkin puffy sticker, the little green guy, I don't know what he is, but he's cute. And his little skeleton friend are going haunting. So that will be that card. And then for this one, you want to get kind of this general area. It doesn't really matter. You can put the ghost wherever. I grabbed the sticker ghost with the stripes, and he's going to be over another sticker ghost or another ghost with stripes. Happens to be a coincidence that they're kind of the same design. But he just needs to be somewhere on the card. You can kind of move these around if you're going to recreate this one. But he's going to go over, because he's a little bit bigger, on top of one there, just so we have kind of a 3D ghost. It is a little busy. He can get a little lost in the background. So you can put him over wherever. Or you could stick the sticker ghost, down to some black cardstock and cut a bubble around him and then stick that down so that he stands out a little bit more. But I wasn't meant to be totally popping. I knew that the happy haunting would be kind of mixed in with the black background a little bit, but that's okay. So this card, we're going to be sticking a black piece of cardstock down to the card base, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then the pattern paper. I am so close to running out of tape in my gun. This is about 1/8 of an inch less on all sides, smaller. And then I'm going to lift up the ephemera die cut piece. I think it says Tricks and Treats, up on some foam dimensionals. Tricks and Treats. And we're going to consider the spider a trick and the donuts are the treats. I knew I wanted to use the donuts. I just couldn't quite figure out the layout that I wanted to use for a while. So I'm going to put that spider web up in the corner. And then for the spider, I'm going to lift him up on foam so that he kind of stands out from his web. And then he gets to be the trick. And I'm just cutting off some foam tape from the front side that would have been showing if you had looked at the spider. I was trying to figure out which way he goes. I think that's him like raising all his arms up. I couldn't tell if he was supposed to be that way or upside down, the other way. So that's how he ended up. And then he looks more spooky that way, I think. And then the donuts for the treats. And we have lots of shiny foliage going on. And then this card is going to be super, super simple, but I knew that this die cut kind of needed to go with the house's background. So it's kind of Halloween-y, slightly fall, but I'll just put down the orange cardstock to the card base. And then slightly smaller, the houses, probably 1/8 of an inch less. So 1/4 inch on both sides. So basically 4 by 5 1/4. And then this die cut, when I went through all of the die cuts after I opened them, I picked this one out because I knew I wanted to use it on at least one of the cards. So that was a super simple card. This is probably one of my favorite cards that I make out of all of these. And I'm just going to stick down a black cardstock piece for the base. And then there was some white peeking out, so I ended up trimming along the whole edge of the card. I probably should have just put it through my paper trimmer, but that works too. And then the orange pattern paper panel. This one is the orange, like, cross pattern. Not gingham, but like, I'm not sure. Looks like burlap pattern. Anyway, that orange paper. And then the cauldron, and then the 2 witches. These black shiny stickers are really cute, and I really like the font. So I was trying to incorporate as many as I could come up with compared to which die cuts I had so that it made sense. I didn't want to just stick things on there that didn't make any sense. So I figured Hocus Pocus was perfect for 2 witches making some sort of brew. There is a frog in there, so who knows what they're making. And then I just started with the letters on the right side because I knew I wanted it in the upper right corner, and I needed them a little bit closer together than they were on the sticker sheet. So I just started with the S's and worked my way left so that it would fit. And this one is pretty cute too. So I tucked that pumpkin under there because he's going to go on the inside of the card for like an inside card surprise, because I wanted to include him as well, but there was no room for him on the front. And I wanted the 2 candy corns. I probably could have done a candy corn and a pumpkin and then the other candy corn inside, but that's not what I did. So the same orange paper looks to be probably 1/4 of an inch less on all sides. And then I was trying to figure out how I could try and keep these letters straight and stick them down at the same time so I didn't have to do it myself. But then I accidentally moved the T. These can be picked up as well, just like the orange stickers, or not the orange, sorry, the gold letter stickers that you get as well. These don't stick down so much that you can't pick them up again. So I was trying to make that as straight as I could. I eventually used glue on this T because I think I pick it up so many times I wasn't sure if it was going to stay down anymore. And I was trying to keep this somewhat straight. I really like the 2 black bars on the other side of the oar. It kind of brings it together. And then I was just trying to straighten all of these out. So I'm going to end up putting a little bit of glue on the back of this one because I'm afraid that I got rid of a lot of the adhesive, just to be sure that one will stay. And then I'm going to stick down our little candy corns, but I'm going to use foam tape just to give it a little bit more interest. And lift those up. I am trying to use up my foam dimensionals, and these kits are really helping with that, where I'm making 12 cards or so. I'll use my foam tape roll if it's just easier, or if I'm lifting up a whole panel. And then just gluing our little pumpkin trick-or-treater inside of that card. And then this one, this pack had, if you can see those perforations between the houses, it had a number of die cuts that were like perforated that you could pull apart. Some of them were more scrapbooky, like banner flags that had words on them. There were witches that were connected. There were pumpkins, but once you tore those apart, the edges looked weird. And so I tore apart the pumpkins and then I trimmed the sides to make them look normal again instead of having the perforation there. But then for these houses, I ended up not pulling them apart because I decided I wanted to include them on the card stuck together. And they look just fine stuck together. Maybe that's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to leave them stuck together and not tear them apart. But they're perforated and you can pull them apart like a ticket, basically, if you wanted to separate them. But I decided to keep those together. And then this card, I believe, is the last one. And I have run out of tape in my tape gun. So I'm grabbing my Teresa Collins Xyron Mega Runner. I don't love it because it's not like strip tape. It's like dots. And it doesn't, unless you hold it totally evenly, it doesn't really come out onto the paper very well. So I'm just putting down this beautiful die cut and we are including these 3 ghosts. I'm going to lift them all up on foam. This time I'm going to save you all of the footage of me peeling off the backing from all the sticky foam dimensionals and then just stick them down for you. And then we will take a look at all of the cards we've made. So there's that one, our houses, Trick or Treat, Hocus Pocus, Spooky Season, our little witches, our owl, witchy woman, and that one. So thank you for watching.